Thank you, everybody. The last presentation of the day, Unit 6. Take it away.
Hi everyone, we are Unit 6. The narrative that is about to follow is based on our perceived London. The route is indicated in red on the map, and the method is shown in these books over here.
The city, London, the year 2039. The class of AA Summer School 2014 has returned for a 25-year reunion. As we approach the city of London, our sensations remind us of our first day of summer school in 2014. We know where Bedford Square is supposed to be, but we are not quite certain how to get there. Even if Google Glass has found us, we feel lost. Not quite tourist lost, just unsure of ourselves. We hope that everything will begin to make sense again just around the next corner, but it doesn't. The city we came to know in 2014 has changed dramatically. Our memory of it has become obsolete. We realize we'll be late for the union's formalities. As much as we'd love to attend the forum as humans arranged with the 5 Spartan tests that emerged from the class of 2014, we decide to skip it. We feel compelled to explore this updated version of London instead, to unbuild it as we did once before. We switch off Google Glass, we switch on our senses, we allow ourselves to be led by our impulses. We decide to lose ourselves in this new London. We only hope we can find ourselves in time for the free drinks on the terrace later. The free drinks on the terrace later. The free drinks on the terrace later. Et boissons gratuites sur la terrasse plus tard. The free drinks on the terrace later. So, where should we begin? What direction should we take?
So this is the model that I'm speaking of right here on my right. So a haunting concrete structure on the banks of River Thames calls to us. Its pillars were once strong and glorified, holding reliable steel frames for people to bridge across. But this beautiful structure has succumbed to time. The boats of the daily commuters on their way to the city center gather to dock. We climb up to the deck where people are sunbathing. It is only atop this deck that we realize the hidden charm of the structure. It should have been detonated by now. But there's life to us, this, and it implores us to let it live, even to rebuild it. We come to realize why Londoners have spared it. They feel drawn to the fact that it's a remnant of the past, that it reminds them of what was, still is. As bits of the structure fall and wash away with the rising river, the lifespan of the structure seems uncertain. Will Londoners let it live, or will they kill it off?
We follow the signs to the train station, walking through an avenue with stone columns. We exit the building on the western side. A curious landmark piques our interest. This heritage site seems more sculpture than structure.
Hello guys, this is our model. Here is also a small model of me who's wandering here. That is what we want to illustrate. Walking through the lower level, we notice how London transitions into a city as gallery. Different collages illustrate different perspectives of London. They show how culture, motion, and history have altered and filled the current reality that is London. When citizens and tourists wander this gallery of collages, it feels like watching a movie of how London has evolved, having embraced both time and space. We notice the transitions between different cultural heritages, between different materials, and between the past and present.
Above this gallery is an observation deck. We decide to check out the views. The elevated perspective of the city is stark. We notice how flat London is, and we are reminded of how unusual London is in that it is a city without natural landmarks. Sure, there is the Thames, but being below ground level, it is invisible until one is upon it. As nature does not beckon city dwellers, as it might in coastal cities, or in cities with hills and mountains overlooking, the vibe of London is very much unhuman. Being landlocked and flat, Londoners must use each other's inspiration rather than nature. However, from on high, we notice parks and green spaces growing above the parapet of the city. The greenery seems to be forcing its way through the urban scene, a reminder that nature always finds a way through to our consciousness, no matter what membrane man places on top. Back at street level, we exit the Heritage Centre and become blinded by the sunlight bouncing off the modern buildings to the north. Strange oval shapes glisten in the sunshine, but we can only discern their outline. These buildings should feel imposing, but they do not. They seem humble, even shy. They want to hide from us. Their mirrors draw our attention to the architecture that surrounds them, and to the Lilliputians at their feet instead. They are like self-conscious, gangling teenagers. They feel unsure of themselves because of their youth, and awkward because of their size. They prefer not to be noticed. People just don't seem to understand them yet. They seek to blend into the ever-changing skyscape like chameleons. But something seems amiss. Glass, concrete, metal. Glass, concrete, metal. The module, the repetition, the floors, the extensive use of modern techniques and materials are etched into the minds of every big city person. This is what we expect to see in London, but it is the momentary absence of brick that is noticeable. The Victorian, the Georgian, there is something about these bricks that seems both beautiful and enduring. Is it their rarity? Is it their collective aesthetic? Perhaps it is the golden era that is trapped within them that charms us. Glass, concrete, metal. To look at these modern structures, we can't help but dream of the warmth and homeliness of London brick, brick, brick. Walking around Shoreditch, we notice how the Broadgate Tower acts as a visual landmark. This building forms an interesting boundary between tall, formal, commercial blocks and the more residential, casual, and somewhat rundown area of Shoreditch. The Broadgate Tower sticks out like a sore thumb, but it is also a beacon that guides us. It acts as a compass and gives us the freedom to explore the area without worrying about where we are. Now that we have some bearings, we feel bound again. However, this is not the feeling we wish to have today. We decide to take the elevator to the restaurant at the top. That way, we can no longer see the Broadgate Tower. After some lunch, we head back towards the train station. We pass through the avenue of columns once more, and this time exit the station on the eastern side. A striking building constructed with modern materials catches the eye.
Diversity. It is a new cultural building situated on the old civic spine of the city. It links to the music hall and acts as the main reception area for visitors attending performances. The building is a wonderful space that acts as a bridge from the train station to the cultural quarter. The structure's internal and external spaces offer the visitor a multitude of ways to experience it. This building sits imperiously on stilts above a concrete concourse that is linked to the structure, atop it, via a peephole that draws light and the curiosity of onlookers from above. There is great interplay between light and shadows thanks to the circular holes and the round steel bars that extend across and beyond the building. We can also see a diverse mix of materials, and that is fascinating, and the use of a peephole on the first floor and a glass look-through on the second floor ensures that the visitor is teased to look both up and down as opposed to simply across a horizontal plane. The concrete concourse is intended as a social space. It is a gregarious building desirous of human company and fun things to do. The concrete cavity understands that its monotonous appearances serves to provide a stark contrast to the colorful people who will hang out and play in it.
Back on ground level, we notice the clash between this modern building and the listed stone buildings across from it. We pass through what was once the British Museum and take the modern steel and glass walkway that leads to an exhibition space that currently showcases works by the Provocateur and Master Duchamp. We make a vain attempt to understand. Outside once more, we realize that the city is crawling south of the river. We wonder how to cross it.
Now, we go from land and back to water. Where life started, where everything else started. And so, as we descend the pathway from the ground floor to the station, we see the water level approaching our eye level slowly, gradually pulling toward us, toward this sense of tranquility and the gradual transition from the world above to the world subterranean. This moment of silence and sense of tranquility are amplified by the water, floating water hushed by the soft concrete on the sidewalls of the pathway. And also it is amplified by the stone arch standing, almost floating still as we walk beneath the arch. As we submerge ourselves to the unfamiliar dimension of the world, we are met by an unexpected companion, sunlight. The structure design allows light, natural light, to flood through the ceiling onto its white floor inside the structure, almost directing us forward beyond the boundary of the unknown.
Having navigated this maze of the city and explored its various levels, we come to realize that these buildings slowly attach themselves to one another over time. The city has become interconnected. It functions as one unit. The buildings, the spaces that have been built, the arteries, the people, their culture, the city's history, they are all woven together into a single rich fabric and have become so intertwined that they are now inseparable. One part doesn't make sense without the other, and while the city is flexible in terms of where it spreads its fruits and scatters its fruit, the symbiosis adds a rigidity that gives it a form all of its own. We know this structure as London. Thank you.
Just a quick first question.